edition rock and roll.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Chase Carter Concept Podcast for Friday, February 12th. This podcast is coming a little bit late. It's coming a day late. I'd like to apologize to my listeners, and by listeners I mean my mother. Normally this comes out on Thursdays. I release the Video Games and Nonsense podcast on Tuesday, record it Monday, release it Tuesday, hopefully. Sometimes release it Wednesday if it's late. If Raymond, goes to the gym, quote unquote, and really that means he slept in past 2:00 in the afternoon. But yeah, so I'm recording this a little bit late. I thought I had an appointment. I had one appointment to figure out, and I thought it was yesterday. So I'll just do the podcast on Friday. No big deal with my dozens and dozens of listeners. And turns out the appointment was today. So I was waiting by my phone. At first I thought it was an in-person appointment. I scheduled an Uber to take me. And then I get a text message from the doctor's office saying that, we were trying to confirm your over the phone appointment. So I'm sitting there waiting by the phone at 11 o'clock yesterday. Nothing happened. And I'm like, hey, I got these people. They messed up. I'm going to complain about this in my next appointment. And then I'm going to get an I'm sorry, which is all I really wanted. Someone to admit their faults. And I'm in bed last night with a lady. Cora, who is that? It's Cora. It's my girlfriend. With a lady. And so we're talking, and then I explained to her, she's like, well, how was your day? Just trying to communicate. Because the number one thing in relationships is communication. Okay? And by communicating, I mean asking a woman how her day is and let her talk for 45 minutes straight about people you don't know, about situations you weren't there for, and you have to actively participate and listen wholeheartedly. Otherwise, you're the fucking problem. So we're talking, obviously, as I said before, get on with the chase. I know. Okay, fine. So I was like, yeah, they didn't call me for my appointment. And then she goes, and she didn't have this written down anywhere. She's like, I thought it was tomorrow. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure. I told her about this appointment one time a couple months ago. Like, I have this appointment. Apparently it's on Friday. And she's like, oh, that's good on Friday. And then she remembered it months later. So women are superior mentally. That's what I've come to the conclusion of, at least when it comes to appointments. Another thing they're not superior on is Valentine's Day. That whole Valentine's Day. I'm seeing Valentine's Day challenges where you post about your relationship. You post about your So the 364 days that you're posting about your relationship, how great it is. Now, if you were miserable, I can see if you were a miserable, lonely person, lonely like I was, trying to get certain women's attention, they kept ignoring me. I can see if you were like that and then you finally get into a happy relationship and it's your first Valentine's Day together and you're so excited. But hey, if you're married or engaged, Valentine's Day is for people who just started dating. And it's also for older women who aren't happy with their birthday, Christmas, and what's the other? And their anniversary. So they get 3 days. And Mother's Day, by the way. Father's Day, we don't even get cards. And I'm not a father, so I can speak about this. But come on now. You really need another day? You need 5 days where we celebrate women? Because it's all about them. And the sacrifices they make. The sacrifices. I gave Corey shit the other day. She came home tired and just kind of in a bad mood. She went straight to bed to take a nap, which she never does. Usually she comes home full of energy, bouncing off the walls, happy to see me. I went out for a walk, a little walk, and come home and she's in bed sleeping. And I'm like, oh, are you okay? Are you okay? What's wrong? And she's like, I had a hard day at work. My brain hurts. And she's just laying there looking sad. And my first initial reaction is to comfort her, cuddle up next to her, say, oh, what? And tell me about your day. But I took a hard left. I was like, oh, did you have to actually work today? Was there a problem at work where a man wasn't around to fix it? Oh, and you had to fix it yourself. Poor. And then, of course, from Land Before Time, I go, poor Petrie. Poor Petrie. Anyone's feeling sorry for themselves. So good thing that she thought it was funny and she laughed. So I was either going to be funny or a misogynistic pig. But good thing she finds me funny. Most people don't find me funny at all. So, but yeah, no one cares about your Valentine's Day challenges. Nobody at all. In fact, you're making people feel worse right now. Making people feel worse. This is a challenge I would like to do. Challenges are supposed to be difficult. Posting pictures of you and your significant other is not difficult. You do it all the time. Once in a while is fine. It's okay. But every day you're going to get ridiculed and made fun of. That's just the way it is. Very, very sad. But what other things are bothering me? God, so many days. Yeah, it's your wedding anniversary. I'm gonna get off topic. Wedding anniversary, her birthday, Christmas, Valentine's Day. That's 4. There was 5. I can't remember. Anyways, just come to think of it. What days are for men? The Super Bowl. We get March Madness, the Final Four weekend, and even then people, on average, women bitch about we get video games. We can't even say movies because women watch movies, TV shows, they watch the same thing. Whenever women make fun of, I love how, that's so funny, how women used to make, oh, if you're into comic books, you're a loser. Yet now they're watching Thor. They're watching Chris Hemsworth wield his hammer, smack people around, just getting all hot and heavy. Oh, what was that based on? Oh, those comic book nerds you made fun of. Oh, the $1 billion business. Oh man, and you know what business is bigger than all of the other entertainment besides porn? It's video games. So when's it going to shift where video games are cool all of a sudden? When's it going to shift? It's starting to shift now that there's people making a whole bunch of money playing video games, and these kids are hiring Instagram models to come over and just sit on their laps while they're playing video games. I'm like, good for you. Good for you. But it's just funny how things that were nerdy, stupid, now make you millions of dollars and it's cool. And then women are like, I've always been a fan of the Hulk. I've always been a fan of Bruce Banner. Always. No, you weren't. Shush. Just say you thought it was dumb. You were watching Dawson's Creek instead of reading comic books. Okay, you did not watch any animated series about Batman. So I'm an adult, and when in my head I'm like, I shouldn't watch a cartoon, but then that's some other mental issue that I have. But I want to watch all of the animated movies. I want to watch them all. They're good. There's one with Kaylee Cuoco, where she's Harley Quinn. It's unbelievable. It's a good show. It's not, amazing, but it's good. It's a silly R-rated cartoon. It's animated, but there's something not bothered me, but is interesting. Involves basketball and politics. which apparently go hand in hand nowadays. I can't watch a sporting event without being told that our country is systemically racist. And as a white person, I have privilege, even though I'm not aware of it. Which, I mean, that's a hard thing to wrap your head around. So I can't see it. It's like, yeah, and you might not have even benefited from it, but it's there. So it's an invisible boogeyman that I'm not aware of? Huh? Huh? Right away, my initial reaction is to push back, but I want to listen. I'm compassionate. I want to listen. Like, please explain to me how being white, to me, is benefited me in any way possible. Any one of my interests. I grew up playing basketball, wanting to be a professional basketball player. Please explain to me how being a 6'1" slow white male was advantageous to me in any way possible. Making these broad assumptions is just the wrong thing to do. Making these huge, saying, like LeBron James saying cops are out hunting black people. Pretty sure they don't have a hunting scope and shooting the first black person they see. You have to choose your words carefully, especially if you're a huge celebrity like that. And people actually look to a basketball player for leadership and guidance for some reason. Like, no, you play basketball really well. And even the people who are in leadership positions, politicians, are terrible at it. On all sides. I'm not even going to acknowledge there's two sides, which I just did. All the sides. So I'm the issue. I'm the problem. Always picked last in basketball because of the color of my skin. But it's like, well, I'm an exception. That people say, well, you can do the same thing. You can say the same thing. I'm trying to wrap my head around all of this. And it's a good thing to think about. It's like, if I'm benefiting from something and I'm not knowing, if I don't know it, are you really benefiting from it? Like, was I benefiting from white privilege when we lived in a Motel 6, like a Red Roof Inn? We lost our house, multiple houses, and I was spending most of my time in an Isuzu Trooper. Like, it was like, no, white privilege is, you could still be homeless, but you still have what? Like, what? But then there's more people like, no. Certain situations, it kind of helps certain people out. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, say that then. But don't say everybody has white privilege. It doesn't make any sense. That kind of, I don't know. I don't know if I have the words to speak about this, but it's just difficult to wrap my head around that whole, and then the reason I wanted to talk about this is because of, what was it? The Mark Cuban national anthem. Not playing the national anthem. He didn't play the national anthem when there was no fans, and then they let in fans. They let in people from the outside, some first responders. And then someone mentioned, hey, they didn't play the national anthem before the game. I thought that was kind of weird. Did they cancel it? And come to find out that they just stopped playing the national anthem before the game. And it initially bothers me that they chose not to play the national anthem during or before the basketball game. And people make the comparison or the connection that these players are going to work, and it's like, do you play the national anthem before you sit down at a desk, or do reporters sit down, listen to the national anthem before? Does everyone stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance anymore? And I'm thinking, it was like, well, that's an interesting argument. That's an interesting counterpoint. But there's not tens of thousands of people watching you work. It's not a social gathering. Your job is a social gathering. And usually, when there's a bit, from my history, and they said, from history. They were playing it. The national anthem started being played during games during World War II as motivation to get behind the country. We're at war. We're fighting Nazis and the Japanese. That whole issue. And the world fights them off from, almost killing everybody. But that's something we should diminish now. So it started then. It's like, hey, we're going to play the national anthem because we all came together as a country, helped out other countries, and fought off these crazy, crazy people who were trying to take over other countries. But now that there's not a big, huge enemy, we don't need to play the national anthem. In my head, those people's lives don't matter. Does it really bother you that we're celebrating the country? Hey, millionaire athletes, can we take 1 minute to address? I mean, you can take all the minutes you want to address all the issues with the country, all of the problems. Okay, you have your right. And the reason you have your right is because of the people who fought for that flag. But that's besides the point. It's besides the point. I'm not saying you shouldn't speak out. You should. Even if there's not a problem. Create one. But what I'm saying, if I can try to get up my can we, yeah. So get my mind back on track if I can. Can we spend 1 minute sing the national anthem to support all the good things our country did? Can we do that? Everyone wants to criticize. Criticize. But can we get an attaboy? A little pat on the back? There was highly educated people I follow, Chris Broussard and Rob Parker. I listen to their podcast all the time, their radio show, excuse me. Two black men, and they're talking about the person who wrote the national anthem owned slaves. He's a slave owner. Francis Scott Card or Key. And so I did a little digging into his history. Apparently, he realized he was born, his family owned slaves. He was born into it. He inherited slaves. He realized it was wrong and freed them. So what do you want him to do? What? Huh? I don't, if that was the issue, unless there's some other issue I'm not aware of, that's what I heard. There's other stories of him riding with on horseback with other black people, and there were news articles written criticizing him, and they were all people who lean towards the South. He's like, he's riding with all of these people who aren't fully. He was publicly in support of freeing slaves, and now he's a bad guy all of a sudden? Huh? I'm confused. Unless the articles that I wrote and the videos that I watched are fake, I'm not sure. I'm at a loss here. I'm at a huge loss. Trying to think of, and then your arena is called the American Airlines Arena. American. And then you don't want to support America. No, there's North and South America. It's not just United States of America. It's very interesting. It's like, oh no, we didn't take down the flag. The flag is still up there. So when you go to Canada, we're not the only country that does this. So when you go to Canada, are you not going to be playing their national anthem? Oh no, you are? Because you respect other people's culture? Can you respect your culture? With all the terrible things that America has done, it's done a lot of things right. A lot of things right. Just going to sit in silence. Who would have won World War I if we hadn't got involved? Crickets. World War II? Oh, okay. Okay. No, I'm not saying we're the only reason that we won anything. But come on now. Come on. The Man on the Last Castle, the way they divided up the United States probably would have been historically accurate. Half for the Japanese and half for the Nazis. But we don't get any, hey, good job, guys. He's like, hey, America, we appreciate the freedom that we can even protest and say all these things, come up with grievances. We're very compassionate. But hey, America, just say thank you. Just say thank you. We appreciate you. We appreciate the freedom you give us. Not trying to hold everybody back. We thank you. Thank you very much. Just give, and it's not like America is a free, wide open society. They have regulations in place. They tend to hold things back. Electric cars, there's capitalism, big business that gets involved in everything, kind of holds progress back a little bit. There's a whole thing about GM and electric cars. Decades ago, they had a working car, and then if they would have kept with it, but there was some other, I read some article about it, and it was very interesting. I didn't understand it all, but it was basically the oil businesses keeping progress in a different lane that would have hurt their business. There's issues. There's issues. I'm not saying there isn't. But it's like being in a relationship and all you hear is the other person nagging. You don't do this. You don't you only wash your dishes. You won't, your cats make the house smell terrible. It's all this negative shit. And it's like, why are you with me then? Why are you here? If you don't like it, is there other options? We're not the only fish in the sea. And I don't want to go to that argument. If you don't like America, you can get out. That's a stupid argument. But it's just so just unappreciative. Just not seeing everything about it. And then like they have to acknowledge it. If you're always bitching, people are going to just like, what are you here for? I understand, complaining every now and then is like, hey, this is kind of messed up. Yeah, I agree. That is kind of messed up. But what are we talking about here? You're going to stop playing the national anthem because some people are offended by it? Huh? Some people are offended by clapping. Clapping. So if we're offended by something, go down on the floor, the court, the basketball court, and hear how those basketball players talk to one another. You don't think people are going to be offended by the curse words they use? All the shits, bitch, F words, fucks. I don't know why I said F words. Fucks, N words. I think that's why I said F word. N words that are dropped in that court. But you're going to ban the American flag? Is the reason that they can actually say those things? Huh? You can say whatever you want in this country. That's fine. You can have your own opinions. And that's fine. And it's not a law to play the national anthem. That's not what I'm saying. If you don't want to play it, that's fine. But you're also going to there's going to be repercussions for it. There's people like, wait, why are we getting rid of our country? The country that you're going to take away the national anthem because what? Huh? And then the NBA stepped in and said they had to play it, which all that has to change is the NBA is going to redo its rules in the off season when no one's really paying attention, to where they're going to leave it up to the teams. But I think it's smart. I think it might be smart. This, in all honesty, I think this is a PR move because the Dallas Mavericks can appear as if they're sensitive to people's needs. And I would also like to know exactly, because they said they did a poll of people, players, employees. I would like to know who the people are that don't support the national anthem being played. If you're that concerned with it, I would like to know who you are. Who doesn't care? If you played a game in Germany, when the United States, when basketball players go over there, they play the national anthem over there. When they play basketball games in China, they play Chinese national anthem. So, but huh? What? Are you sure? Okay? Because you guys play games overseas too. So I don't want to. I don't want to hear any national anthems over there either. No national anthems. Right now, you're trying to get all. Oh, we don't want to be political. If people are uncomfortable with something, people are uncomfortable with anything that you do. So don't placate to anybody. Do what you do, and if you don't like it, you can tune in or out. But don't try to appear woke right now. Don't appease to all these people who aren't really fans of the product. I don't want any politics in my sports. Anything. I don't want to know who you voted for, why, who you support. I don't care. I want to watch basketball players. I want to watch basketball. I want to watch football. I don't care. I don't. If you want to do that stuff on outside of basketball, if you want to support stuff on your Instagram, get people who are really, really into you, then support it that way. But me as a fan, I don't want to see it. I don't want to keep hearing about it. Like, and then it maybe like a few times, but then it just becomes injustice. And I'm just like, what? I'm trying to make a living, pay my rent, and I'm not an asshole to anybody. So who are you talking to? Who are you trying to? You're trying to change whose life? I don't understand. So you think racist people are going to see a basketball game that's filled with primarily black athletes bringing up issues about social justice and racial issues, and then that is going to change their mind about being racist? What? Like a racist person watches basketball to begin with. Huh? If I was racist and I didn't like black people, I wouldn't watch a sport that's dominated by them. I would watch golf or cricket or water polo or tennis. And then even tennis, I couldn't watch the women's division. Who are you talking to? You're talking to millions of people who love basketball, who love black athletes, who have idolized black athletes. I have only bought Michael Jordan. I've supported black businesses since I was 4 to 5 years. Since I could walk, I was wearing a black person's shoe. I spent thousands of dollars on Jordans. And now after decades of supporting, I have MC Hammer cassette tapes. All for one, cassette tapes. And now, yeah, you're white, so you're inherently racist. What? Losing my mind. Not saying there's not racism out there. Not saying it. But you're just how white people used to paint other races and cultures with a broad brush. You're doing that against white people. And maybe I shouldn't be so offended by it or have a problem with it. But anytime something doesn't make sense, maybe this is a way I can wrap my head around it just by talking about it. It doesn't make any sense to me. I supported Kaepernick taking a knee. He was sitting down, not standing up for the national anthem. He talked to a military veteran to get some guidance, to not be so disrespectful, because sitting down is disrespectful to the flag. It's like, hey, dude, stand up for, yeah, you don't, okay? But the reason that you're here and you have the choice is because of that flag and the freedoms that people who fought for the flag gave you. So just stand up for a minute. That's all. Just stand up for a minute. So he took a knee. He felt that America, a portion of it was injured. And when a player is injured on the field, you take a knee. No issue. When white people had an issue with that, they can go fuck themselves. Because that wasn't even the issue. They're like, he's disrespecting the military. He's spitting on all the... No, he's not. He's not. Now, when he came out and called, he wore like the... then it became he insulted police officers, and that's when I lost it. He's the dope, if I can stop stuttering. He wore pigs Like he started to insult the police officers instead of respectfully working with the police officers and about how to improve. It became this insulting thing. He wore cops on his socks that had little pig characters in cop uniforms. I'm like, oh, you're just a fucking punk. That's all you are. Okay, got you. Okay, you don't see cops as human beings. And then you criticize them for not seeing black people as human beings. That's what you said? But you don't see them as human beings. Oh, okay, so, okay. What's that one? Two wrongs don't make a right that I was told when I was 5, 6 years old. Oh, okay. Okay, you're supposed to rise above it. And okay. That's the reason Martin Luther King never promoted violence, because if you just fight against one another, nothing ever gets fixed. Ever. So there's two people just fighting, and if it's one person, and then you see all of the white people back then mistreating black people, hosing them down, all this stuff, and it's like, what are you guys doing? And they're not even fighting back. That's just going to get, Martin Luther King's like, hey, if we just don't fight back, this is going to be terrible PR for white people. You're smart, and it's just how you should act in a civilized society. Maybe back in the day when we were barbarians, you fight and kill everybody, but right now you can't do that. You shouldn't be able to do that anymore. You have to protest with ideas and actions and inactions. But it's insane. I just get disappointed. I was for Colin Kaepernick. I was like, yeah, this guy's proving a point. There are racist cops out there who mistreat black people. Any kind of race. A bunch of them. But then when you start insulting the cop, like just cops in general, it's like, nah, fuck you, dude. Nope. Not gonna be able to do it. Like, I'm willing to listen. Just how I'm willing to listen on white privilege. Please explain to me. Hasn't been explained. Watched a bunch of different videos about it. They're breaking down economics and all this other stuff. Maybe I'm not even smart enough to understand. Maybe I do have white privilege, and I'm just not smart enough to realize that I have it. Not too sure. But this is how I'm going to try to grow as a person. Just been bothering me lately. I'm not too sure. Then I watched, it was a hard transition. I watched Elon Musk and Joe Rogan talk for 3 hours, and hearing that man speak and talk, Elon Musk, not Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's way more intelligent than me, but he repeats kind of the same. Well, listening to him all the time, you hear all of his different, I guess, stories, but over and over and over again. So but Elon Musk talking about, he was contemplating how to make an electronic airplane, and Joe's like, yeah, you've seen this, you seem to have thought about this a lot, and he goes, yeah, for about 14 years or so. I was like, you bet, what? Huh? And then what's cool, he explained that the atmosphere is thicker the closer to sea level you get. So the force required to get an airplane off the ground and to fly an airplane takes a lot more energy to get the plane up and high in the air, and where the air is obviously thinner, so there's less drag, so it takes less energy at cruising speed. And I didn't even think about that. Of course you didn't, Chase. You're a moron who barely graduated high school. But just hearing him talk and then try to put it into words that normal people can understand, it was awesome. He's talking about his car business. He's talking about having SUVs, trucks, autonomous. He's saying that Joe asked him, like, when can we have completely driverless, autonomous, like semi-trucks? He's like, it'll be a while. He's like, but what? He's like, I don't think we'll ever get rid of. I believe he said, I don't think we'll ever get rid of truck drivers. But what you'll have is one truck driver in a cab in front, and then a fleet of trucks behind him following that one lead truck. So think of it like a train conductor. and there's spaces in between the semi trucks that he's pulling basically that are following whatever he does. And there's big, 40, 50 foot gaps in between for other vehicles to get in so they can, merge on and off the freeway. I'm like, that would be cool. That'd be really cool. Because my stepdad's a truck driver, and I'm thinking, I was like, oh wait, he might lose his job. Well, he's going to be retired, but just other people and truck drivers are going to lose their jobs. But what if they become a truck conductor? There'd be less of them. There's less of them, less jobs, maybe more money for them, the individuals, or people have to repair those trucks. I don't know. It's an interesting concept because a business, you want as much automation as possible and less people as possible. Not because you don't want to pay the people, but that's also part of it. But also because human beings, there's going to be error input. More error input than it would be computer error. But it's just a computer error. This is a really interesting conversation. I would advise people to listen to that, but listen to it on like 1.2 times speed or 1.5 because Elon Musk talks. Because he actually thinks before he speaks, unlike myself. He talks like that. And there's long, I was listening to it on 1.2 times the speed, and there was still long pauses where Joe would ask him a question and he would just be silent for a good 3 to 4 seconds while he's contemplating. And he said the reason he's not making electric airplanes is because he has too much on his plate. It's like, no shit, dude. You're making all these cars. You're making trucks. You're making SUVs. You're digging tunnels under the ground. Oh, yeah, and by the way, you're sending people to Mars. He's like, yeah, Joe's like, yeah, I'm glad there's a limit. I'm glad you have a limit. He's like, no, I couldn't do that. That would make my brain explode. I'm like, well, no shit. Maybe that's what Jeff Bezos can work on. But it is interesting. The two richest people in our country are going to outer space. What do they know that we don't? Whoever gets to the nearest asteroid and mines precious metals and brings it back down to Earth, or they're just going to keep it in orbit. I wouldn't bring it back down to Earth. Well, yeah, obviously you wouldn't, because then it would burn up in the atmosphere. Some way you can protect it, maybe. I don't know, but you just have these asteroids in low Earth orbit, and you just go up there, take a chunk off, bring it back down. The first gazillionaire finds a giant asteroid made of diamonds. But it's going to be interesting to see even the infancy of space economics. Because all these rare Earth elements are only rare on Earth. Out there, they're everywhere. But then are they in abundance in our solar system? Do we have to go outside of our solar? How long would it take? Interesting. He's talking about regular people going to Mars in a few years. He's talking about putting a colony on Mars and then being self-sufficient on Mars is the main issue. I'm like, how do you become self-sufficient on Mars? Isn't all of the stuff that we make here on Earth from, like, they're not on Mars anymore? It's basically a dead planet. I'm like, how are you going to build machines on Mars? 3D printing? Is that what we're doing? Very interesting. But there was something else. And now my phone doesn't want to open. I wrote down. Wrote this down. About California. No, I already talked about all that stuff. So I got a friend request. This is an interesting thing. When I was single, there was a girl that I liked, and apparently I got signals mixed up. She was being friendly. I thought she was interested. So I asked her out a few times. She said yes, but then didn't show up. Completely no-showed. And afterwards didn't apologize for it. Didn't even acknowledge it. Acted like didn't even happen. And so at the time, this was sending my head for, I was like, this is the first time I've ever experienced this. Women usually say no to me. They don't say yes and then not show up at all. And then if they did do that, they would apologize for it afterwards. And just say, yeah, I'm not really interested. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But that's completely okay. I don't care. I mean, I cared at the time because I was like, oh, this person could be interesting. But so I don't hear anything from this person. Ask her out. I get this weird vibe. And then months, I was like, forget it. This person's ignoring me. I'm not going to give her the time of day. She obviously doesn't care enough about me at all, even though she did seem like she did, but whatever. Don't talk to her for a little bit. And then for a couple months. And then I get a text message from her. She needs me to pick her up from the hospital. I'm sorry, but I don't ask people to pick me up from the hospital unless I consider them close personal friends or something more. Huh? I'm your only option right now? Or am I the only one that'll text back because you're an asshole? That's the one it was. Ding, 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 ding. Should have went with that one. I thought at the time, oh, she likes me. Oh, she just doesn't know how to show her emotions. She knew how to show her emotions. She just needed a ride home from the hospital and probably didn't want people that she actually liked to see her like that. She actually cared about. So I just think it's funny how I completely misinterpreted all this because I'm a guy and I'm a moron. So then take her home, drop her off, give her a hug. Hope you feel better. Still, then we go back to not talking anymore. Then months later, I get a text message from a random number. It's her boyfriend saying, hey, did you talk to this person about this? Why did you pick her up from the hospital? I'm like, look, dude, I'm just a friend. You know, I liked her. I asked her out a few times. She completely ignored me. I was just being honest because there's nothing to hide. I was like, at the time, I was like, I wish she would have gave me some kind of inclination that she liked me. Any kind of inclination. I wish I would have got one date at the time. I was like, just sad, pathetic, and lonely. He's like, oh, okay, because she's been doing all this crazy stuff and whatever. I'm like, okay, this seems like an insane situation just to begin with. I don't think I would, this person has to be crazy because I don't think I would text anybody about my girl ever. Like, hey, what actually happened? Like, if my girl's being dishonest with me, I'm just gonna say, fuck off. I don't care. You're not honest with me. That's fine. Then I'm not gonna go down this rabbit hole, this Sherlock Holmes trying to find all these clues to piece together instances that happened, in the relationship. I'm just like, dude, you have more to worry about than her at all. Then and this is months ago, but like damn year haven't heard. Then I get a friend request from her. I'm like, this little, okay. So it's just kind of funny talking to her, and then she's completely ignoring. I'm making light of the situation. I was like, yeah, basically calling myself pathetic, sad, like just really liking her at the time, and then her not giving anything back to me. I'm like, yeah, you had a boyfriend at the time. She's like, I didn't have a boyfriend at the time. I wasn't dating him at the time. I dated him later. So I was like, oh, so it was just blatant. I was like, yeah, I understand. I'm sorry. I was an asshole for asking you out. I didn't know you had a boyfriend. I'm sorry. And then she goes, instead of saying, okay, it's fine. I should have been honest with you telling you that I had a boyfriend. She goes, no, I was completely single. Huh? So, and then I joked, well, so you were just an asshole then, and just what? Huh? So we had a fun little chat about that. I'm just like, yeah, my bad for reading into the whole situation. For some reason, I thought you liked me, or at least were interested. Not in the least bit. And instead of getting sad about it, I was just laughing. And then there was she looks like a famous person, and she's it was so funny. So she mentions that someone called her. She mentioned someone else called her, said she looked like somebody else. And I was like, no, you don't look like her. This is who you look like. And I sent her a picture of the person, and she goes, oh my God, I do look like her. Who is that? I don't tell her. I'm like, well, ask around, find out who it is. So she asks, her parents. I was like, don't ask. In my head, I'm thinking, don't ask your parents. That's not a good idea. Her parents don't know. I'm like, okay, good. So I asked my stepbrothers. Nobody knew. So I asked my friend online, and she put it in a Facebook group chat. It was a porn star. Oh my God. And when her friend found it, like she put it all, everyone thought it was like a Disney princess nobody knew about. I could only imagine. Oh my God. She thought it was hilarious, which I'm glad she has a sense of humor. But I guess her friend was a little more innocent, I guess. So all of the dudes in the Facebook private chat were just going crazy. So I set off this bonfire, this huge forest fire. In my head, I'm thinking it's great. It's funny, but it was a good one. I pat myself on the back for that one. Because I had to find a picture of the porn star without makeup and a normal picture of, first of all, try to find a normal picture of a porn star. I dare you. Took me, I've done already research on this individual. And none of them were PG, let's just say. But I found a picture of her without makeup. And I was like, hey, this is a pretty good one. Oh, it was awesome. I'm so happy. I can bring a little bit of joy and laughter into the world every day. See it, thieves, see it, thieves, see it, thieves. And so we're still getting into that. They have the new season out. We're getting lots of cosmetics. She's very happy. And one of the things I do, I'm streaming on Twitch. And what I think would be interesting is it's me and her. We start a ship and we invite one random person from online to come join us. And the characters that we've got are just the stereotypical guy living in a basement, just loser. And then yesterday we got one normal person. But holy shit, these guys had no idea. They were real nervous talking to Corey, just a girl in general. Just they're talking about, I don't know if I've already talked about this, but talking about how strong his legs were and how much weight he was 19 and he said he's basically 19. I'm like, so you're 18. You're 18 years old. Stop saying that. No, I'm 16 and a half. But it's real. It's funny going out. This is me going to a bar and people watch. This is the equivalent of it. I love going to the mall and just watch all of these animals, these disgusting animals walk up and down from food court to food court, just getting all the fried fucking cheese balls that they needed, just going like the mom's fat, the dad's fat, the kids are fat, just going back and forth like cattle, just grazing, killing time before the movie starts. They go to the movies, they get popcorn, put salt and butter on it, and they just go, they just walk right in. They watch, Zootopia for the third time. That was probably the best part of going out in public is watching all these people. It's amazing. Part of me, I miss going to the rock climbing gym because the amount of hippies, the amount of no shoe wearing, hair bun wearing, no shoe having, hair bun wearing. I feel like I'm about to do a Ric Flair promo here. But holy crap, there's a lot of those people. And it's interesting to see the weird people who are out of shape in the mall and the movie theater, and then the weird people who are in shape. They're the same people. They're the same exact people. But it's just interesting. The different dichotomies of everybody. I just look at people, I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I don't get it. I'm at a loss for words. But let's see. Ancient graves. Here's an interesting article by Live Science. Ancient graves. A mysterious enclosure discovered at Stonehenge ahead of tunnel construction. Ancient graves. Archaeological work ahead of construction of a road tunnel beside Stonehenge has led to the discovery of ancient graves, including one with remains of a baby dating back more than 4,500 years. These baby killers! We have to cancel Stonehenge. A strange earth enclosure and a prehistoric pottery, among other buried treasures. Some of the finds may have been used by people who built the mysterious Neolithic monument, and all of the discoveries show that the region was inhabited by different ancient peoples for thousands of years. Collectively, the finds allow us to build up an even more detailed picture of what people were doing and how they were living in the area around Stonehenge. But that's interesting. They find a lot, just like with the pyramids. I think I talked about it last week. They discover more about the pyramids from the areas surrounding the pyramids and like their living quarters and who built it and all those things. They can discover more about the pyramids by searching the other areas around, the surrounding areas around it. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. This is interesting. This guy, there's a picture of this guy. His name's Alexander Twilight. It's an old, an extremely old picture. And fine, except the cookies. There's extremely old picture, and it says the first African American to earn a bachelor's degree. And the picture is an old black and white picture. It's hard to tell the skin color, but this dude looks white. This is not a African American. And I thought maybe I clicked on it because I thought it was they posted some random, but this is actually the picture of the guy. And this guy is credited for being the first African American with the bachelor's degree, even though it was a white only school, which is, what? So this guy was mixed, but he was more white looking, I guess, than black. But then for some reason, people credit him for being the first African American to earn a bachelor's degree. And there's a really interesting article by USA Today. And I'm just like, And he was even listed white on the census records. But then he's credited as the first. I'm like, Look, I'm not one to talk about, percentages and who's black and who's not black. But this dude looks white to me. You can look that up. Alexander Twilight. That was a very interesting article. Just shows the white people are the problem. That's another interesting thing. You can, in this society, if you're a man and you want to be a woman, support it. If you're a woman, want to be a man, completely agreed with. Everyone supports you. Anyone who doesn't is a terrible human being. But if you're Chinese and you want to be Mexican, you can't do that. If you're white and want to be black, you can't do that. If you're black and want to be white, you can't do that. Unless you're Michael Jackson. You can do that. It's all these. So why can't we be, why can't race be fluid? Why can't it be fluid? Sex, biology can be, right? We're accepting of anyone's beliefs and their culture. Hell, I bought a lot of FUBU gear. I wasn't dressing like a little white kid, stereotypical white kid. I wore clothes that were way too big. Crisscross jeans. Is that cultural appropriation? And I would like for one to apologize for my actions as a preteen. I did not know what I was doing, dressing in those clothes. I should have stuck with Tommy Hilfiger. I'm sorry. I wore FUBU, and I would like to apologize. I'm sorry. I should have supported black. I should have bought the clothes and then not worn them, because I would have supported black businesses but not appropriated the culture. There's a really interesting. Everything's interesting, isn't it, Chase? There's a BBC News article. Hacker tries to poison water supply of Florida city. Now, people thought this was going to be a bad story, right? Oh my God, hackers, poisons water supply in Florida. Though it's okay. We need less of those people to begin with. Jokes aside, the hacker briefly increased the amount of sodium hydroxide lye in Oldsmar's water treatment system. But a worker spotted it and reversed the action. Lye is used in small amounts to control acidity, but a large amount could have caused major problems in the water. There's a bad actor out there, he said. No arrests have been made, and it's not known if the hack was done from within the U.S. or outside. A computer controlling The water treatment system was remotely accessed on Friday. So apparently they have all, the issue is because there's so many water treatment facilities and I guess they're remote. They remote as in they're the way out and, they're not close to people. So they do remote access. So if someone, it's all remote access. It's not in-person input. So I guess it's easier to hack is what they were saying. But yeah, some people almost died in Florida. But the system worked. They noticed it. They reversed it. But then people just need to figure out how to not have those triggers go off and then just keep poisoning the water. But what is the purpose of poisoning the water? I don't get it. What is your what's your issue with the water? So I just watched Batman Begins, and unless you're gonna vaporize the enemy's water supply, I don't know what you're trying to do here. And one more story. Ancient Jersey teeth finds hints at Neanderthal mixing. That's very interesting. UK experts restudied 13 teeth found between 1910 and 1911 at La Côte de Saint-Brelade in the southwest, and then it just stops. It should be southwest area. They're long regarded as being typical Neanderthal specimens, but the reassessment also uncovered features characteristic of modern human teeth. The teeth may represent some of the last known Neanderthal remains. Interesting. So there were Neanderthals. The Neanderthals evolved around 400,000 years ago and inhabited a large area of the Western Europe to Siberia. They were typically shorter and stockier than modern humans, with a thick ridge of bone overhanging the eyes. I know a few people that look just like that. They finally disappeared around 40,000 years ago. They found it in 1910. Man, that was 40,000 years ago. How do they know it's 40,000 years old? Just as anatomically modern humans, Homo sapiens, a newly arrived species from Africa, was settling in Europe. However, the two types of humans may have overlapped for at least 5,000 years. The teeth were discovered on a small granite ledge at a cave site. Teeth were just sitting on a ledge for thousands of years. They were previously thought to belong to a single Neanderthal individual. However, the new research found that they were at least two adults. The researchers used computer tomography scans of the teeth to study them at a level of detail that wasn't available to researchers in the past. So kind of cool. We're putting the pieces of the puzzle together. There's little stuff like that interests me. Don't know why. But it's been a little over an hour. I'm going to have to cut out some of the quiet time, me searching for things because my phone wasn't working properly. But hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. This has been another episode of the Chase Carter Concept Podcast for Friday. Again, I apologize to my mother for being late. And you'll hear from me next week. Thursday this time. On Thursday. All right, you guys take it easy. Easy on you. You got this shit knocking low.